The rain had just stopped, but the air was still heavy and wet. The jungle of Kareth 4 was alive with sound, distant animal calls, the buzz of strange insects, and the rustle of massive leaves dripping water. Dr. Aaron Vale, a human xenobiologist, walked at the front of the survey team. His boots sank into the soft ground, leaving deep prints in the mud. Behind him came Xerath, a tall, four-armed alien with green-scaled skin, carrying two scanning devices at once. Walking quietly beside them was Lyra, a young alien woman with pale blue skin and silver hair tied in a loose braid. She was the team's translator and cultural advisor. The group had been on Kareth 4 for 3 days, studying the plants and animals. Many species here were unknown to both human and alien science. Some were harmless, others were not. The locals had warned about the Viperusk, a massive snake with venom so powerful it could kill in minutes. The warning was simple: if you see one, run. They had not seen one yet. The jungle was thick, the trees covered in moss, their roots like twisted snakes themselves. Aaron pushed aside a branch and stepped into a small clearing. A strange flower grew there, tall with red petals that seemed to shimmer in the light. "This is it," Aaron said, kneeling to take a closer look. "The red crest bloom. Its sap might have medicinal uses." Xerath scanned it with his device. "High alkaloid content, possibly dangerous." Lyra stayed back, looking around nervously. "I do not like this place," she whispered. "The air feels wrong." Aaron smiled faintly. "That's just the humidity. Earth has jungles like this too." He was still speaking when the sound came, a deep hiss from somewhere behind them. It was low at first, then louder, vibrating through the air. Xerath's head snapped up, all 4 of his hands tightening on his equipment. "Viperusk!" Xerath hissed. Before anyone could react, the creature slid out from the undergrowth. Its body was thick as a tree trunk, scales black and glistening from the rain. 2 yellow eyes locked onto the group. Its head swayed slightly, tongue flicking. Aaron froze. "Don't move." But the snake was already striking. It moved so fast, it was a blur. Lyra cried out, stumbling back, but not fast enough. The Viperusk's fangs sank deep into her leg. She screamed and fell, clutching the wound. The snake reared back, ready to strike again, but Xerath fired his shock rifle, the energy bolt hitting the creature's side. It hissed in rage, then slithered into the trees and disappeared as quickly as it had come. Aaron dropped to his knees beside Lyra. Her skin was already losing its color, turning a pale, almost gray-blue. Her breathing was fast and shallow. "No, no," Xerath muttered, scanning her leg. "The venom is spreading. It will reach her heart in less than 3 minutes. There is no cure." "There has to be something," Aaron snapped. Xerath shook his head sharply. "We have studied this venom for years. Antitoxins do nothing. It destroys the blood from the inside." Lyra's eyes fluttered, her voice weak. "Leave me. Go." Aaron's mind raced. Back on Earth, he'd been trained for snake bites. Not alien ones, but still. Some principles were the same. Remove venom. Slow its spread. Buy time. He glanced at the wound. 2 deep puncture marks. Blood and clear fluid were already mixing there. The aliens were still arguing when Aaron made his choice. He bent down, pressed his mouth to the wound, and began sucking hard. Xerath shouted in horror. "Stop! You'll poison yourself!" Aaron spat a mouthful of blood and venom onto the ground and went back to work. "If I can get enough out," he said between breaths, "she might have a chance." Xerath stared like he had lost his mind. "This is not how we treat injuries. You are risking your own life." "Then I'll risk it," Aaron snapped, going again. He spat another mouthful, wiped his lips with the back of his hand, and kept sucking. His heart was pounding, but he didn't stop. The taste was bitter and metallic, unlike any snake venom he had ever heard about. His tongue tingled, his throat burned faintly, but he ignored it. Minutes passed. Lyra's breathing slowed, but her color stopped fading. The band of gray-blue on her skin didn't spread any further. Aaron grabbed the medkit from Zerath, wrapping a tight pressure bandage above the bite to slow the venom's travel. "We need to get her back to camp, now!" Zerath hesitated, scanning Lyra again. His eyes widened. "Her blood toxin levels, they are lower than expected." Aaron hoisted Lyra onto his back, ignoring his own dizziness. "Move! The jungle!" Felt heavier on the way back. Every shadow a possible hiding place for the Viperusk. Aaron kept glancing down at Lyra. She was weak, but her eyes were open now. Just barely. "You're going to be okay," he murmured. By the time they reached the camp, Aaron's legs were shaking. Medical staff rushed Lyra into the infirmary. Zerath pulled Aaron aside, staring at him like he was something strange and dangerous. "What you did." "I have never seen anyone do that before," Zerath said slowly. "Humans, you do not fear death for yourselves?" Aaron wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Not when someone's life is on the line." Zerath's eyes narrowed. "The others will want to know about this. All of them." Aaron looked past him at the infirmary door, where Lyra lay inside. "Let them ask," he said quietly. "I'll tell them the truth. I just did what had to be done." But in his mind, he wondered, had he really saved her? Or had he just delayed the inevitable? The camp was restless. Word had spread fast. The human had done something no alien would dare. He had put his mouth on a poisoned wound. He had survived. And the girl was still alive. Dr. Aaron Vale sat on a metal bench outside the infirmary. His shirt was damp with sweat, and his lips still tingled faintly from the venom. The medical team had scanned him twice already, worried the poison had entered his system. So far, his readings were normal. Inside the infirmary, Lyra lay on a clean white bed. The blue tint in her skin was fading little by little. Tubes fed her oxygen and fluids. Every so often, her silver eyes fluttered open, but she was too weak to speak. The door slid open and Zerath stepped out. The reptilian scientist's scales glistened under the camp lights. He carried a data pad, his 4 hands moving quickly. Over the surface. "She lives," Zerath said, his voice softer than usual. "But the venom is still in her system. She needs rest. And we need to talk." Aaron leaned back against the bench. "I'm listening." Zerath lowered his voice. "You did something impossible. We have studied the Viperusk for generations. Nothing stops its venom. Yet somehow your actions slowed it enough for her body to fight. How?" "It's not impossible," Aaron said. "On Earth we have venomous snakes too. If you can get the poison out quickly, you can buy time. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does." Zerath tilted his head. "Buy time? You mean your method does not remove all of it?" "No," Aaron admitted. "But it slows the spread. That's often enough to get the victim to real treatment." The alien scientist tapped his claws against the datapad, thinking. "This is primitive, and yet it worked. You could have been poisoned yourself." "I knew the risk," Aaron said. "I wasn't going to stand there and watch her die." A shadow moved at the edge of the camp. Aaron looked up to see a small group of aliens gathered, their eyes fixed on him, whispering, pointing. Some looked curious, others almost fearful. "What's their problem?" Aaron muttered. Zerath's eyes narrowed. "You must understand. Our people do not touch wounds with our mouths. It is considered dangerous and dishonorable. To many, what you did looks reckless. Some think you are hiding something, that humans have a secret antidote you will not share. Aaron gave a humorless laugh. If I had an antidote, I wouldn't be out here sucking venom like an idiot. Zerath's gaze hardened. You should be careful. Curiosity can be dangerous here. Before Aaron could reply, the infirmary door slid open again. A tall alien medic stepped out. Dr. Vale, she is awake. She asks for you. Aaron didn't hesitate. Inside, the room smelled faintly of antiseptic. Lyra lay propped up on pillows, her silver hair loose around her shoulders. Her skin was still pale, but her eyes were clearer now. You, she said weakly. You saved me. Aaron sat beside her bed. I just did what I could, her lips curved in a faint smile. No one has ever done that for me before. My people, we do not take such risks for others. You could have died. I wasn't about to let you die, he said simply. She studied him for a long moment. Humans are strange, Aaron chuckled. I've heard that before. They spoke quietly until the medic insisted she rest. As Aaron stepped out, he found Zerath waiting again. But this time, the alien commander of the expedition was with him. Commander Vorak was broad-shouldered, his dark armor gleaming in the camp lights. His voice was deep and firm. Human, I have questions. Aaron straightened. Go ahead. Vorak's eyes narrowed. What you did, this mouth extraction, I have never heard of it. Some of my officers believe it is a secret human technique. They want to know if you have more such methods, and if you are willing to teach them. Aaron hesitated. It's not a secret. It's just survival training. We have a lot of dangerous animals back home. Vorak's gaze sharpened. Then, you will demonstrate it. Aaron frowned. Demonstrate? On what? The commander's next words made the camp seem colder. Tomorrow we will arrange a controlled test. We will introduce a small amount of viperusk venom into a volunteer. You will use your method, and we will record the results. Aaron's stomach tightened. You want to inject someone with venom? On purpose? That's insane. It is necessary, Vorak said flatly. If your method works, it could save lives across the galaxy. Zerath's eyes flicked toward Aaron, silently warning him not to push too hard. Aaron exhaled slowly. Fine, but I'm not doing this to hurt anyone. If your volunteer dies, this ends. Vorak nodded once. Agreed. Prepare yourself. At dawn, we test your cure. As the commander walked away, Aaron rubbed his temples. This wasn't what he had wanted. He had acted on instinct, not to start some medical experiment. But now, the aliens saw him differently, as someone who might hold the key to surviving their deadliest predator. In the darkness beyond the camp, a faint hiss echoed. Somewhere out there, the Vaporusk still hunted. And tomorrow, Aaron would have to face its venom again. Only this time, on purpose. The next morning came with heavy clouds hanging low over the jungle. The air was thick, almost hard to breathe. The camp was strangely quiet, but Aaron could feel the tension. Everywhere he walked, eyes followed him. Some aliens looked curious, almost eager. Others kept their distance, whispering to one another as if he carried a dangerous secret. Zerath met him outside the med lab. The commander is already preparing the trial, the reptilian said, his voice low. They brought in a volunteer an hour ago. Aaron narrowed his eyes. Volunteer, or someone they forced? Zerath hesitated. He is a prisoner from another clan. They promised him a shorter sentence if he participates. Aaron didn't like it, but he knew arguing wouldn't stop the commander. He followed Zerath inside. The med lab was bright and cold. In the center, an alien male sat on a reinforced chair, his arms strapped loosely. His skin was dark green, and his yellow eyes flicked nervously between the humans and aliens around him. Two medics stood nearby with scanners. Vorak, the commander, stood at the far side of the room, arms folded. You understand the task? Vorak asked. Aaron kept his tone calm. You're injecting him with diluted venom. I'll use the same method I did with Lyra. But I'm telling you now, this won't remove all of it, it's only to slow it down. Vorak gave a short nod. Begin. One of the medics stepped forward with a small vial of cloudy liquid. Viperusk venom mixed with some clear fluid. The prisoner flinched as the needle slid into his arm. Aaron felt his stomach tighten. This was different from before. This time, it wasn't instinct. It was deliberate. Almost instantly, the prisoner's breathing sped up. The skin around the injection site turned a faint blue. The medics watched their scanners, murmuring to each other. "Do it now," Vorak ordered. Aaron knelt beside the prisoner. He glanced at the medics. "Hold his arm steady." He pressed his mouth to the small wound and began sucking, spitting, the mixture into a metal dish. The taste was just as bitter and metallic as before, but weaker, probably from the dilution. The prisoner grunted, eyes darting between Aaron and Vorak. Aaron kept going, working in short bursts, spitting after each one. His mouth burned slightly, but he ignored it. After a few minutes, he pulled back, wiping his lips. "That's as much as I can get. You'll need to treat him now." The medics quickly applied a pressure bandage and gave the prisoner oxygen. The scanners beeped, showing venom levels far lower than expected. Vorak's eyes narrowed in interest. "Remarkable. His body still holds venom, but far less than predicted." One of the medics looked up. "He will survive." A low murmur spread through the watching aliens. Some nodded in approval, others looked uneasy, as if unsure what to make of this strange human method. Aaron stood, his legs stiff from crouching. "I told you, it's not magic. It's just what we do when we have no other choice." Vorak stepped closer, studying him. "Your methods are dangerous, but they work. Our science could not do this. Perhaps there is more your people know that we do not." Zerath moved to Aaron's side. "You see now why I told you to be careful," the reptilian murmured. "They will want more from you." Aaron glanced at him. "What do you mean?" Zerath's voice dropped even lower. "Word is already spreading beyond the camp. Other factions will hear about you. Not all of them will ask politely." Before Aaron could respond, the infirmary door opened and Lyra appeared. She leaned on a metal walking stick, still weak, but smiling faintly. "You did it again," she said, her voice soft but clear. Aaron's tense expression eased. "Yeah, I guess I did." Lyra's silver eyes studied the watching aliens. "They don't understand," she said quietly. "To risk your life for someone else, it is not our way." "That's why it worked," Aaron said. "I wasn't thinking about myself." The commander turned to the crowd. "This human has shown us something new. His methods will be studied and tested. From this day, his knowledge is under my protection." Aaron didn't miss the way a few aliens exchanged glances. Not all of them looked pleased about the protection. He knew enough about politics to realize this might not be a good thing. Later, as the camp settled, Aaron sat by the fire pit with Lyra and Zerath. The jungle noises surrounded them, chirps, clicks, and distant growls. "I don't like this attention," Aaron admitted. "I just wanted to save you. Now it feels like I've started something bigger than I can control." Zerath's lower hands tapped the ground thoughtfully. "You have. And bigger things are coming. There are those who will want you for themselves. If they take you, they take your knowledge too." Lyra's gaze sharpened. "Then we will make sure no one takes you." Aaron gave her a tired smile. "You might not get a choice. Some people don't ask, they just take." The firelight flickered on their faces. Somewhere out in the darkness, something moved, watching. Aaron felt the hair on his arms stand up. The jungle was dangerous, but now he understood. The real danger might not come from the creatures in it. It might come from the people standing right here in the camp. Night had settled over the jungle like a heavy blanket. The camp's floodlights cast pale circles on the wet ground, but beyond their reach, the shadows were thick and restless. Aaron Vale lay in his tent, staring at the ceiling. He couldn't sleep. The day's trial kept replaying in his head. The prisoner's frightened eyes, the bitter taste of venom, the way the crowd had stared at him afterward. They didn't just see him as a scientist now. They saw him as something useful. Maybe too useful. Outside, voices murmured. Boots crunched in the wet soil. Aaron sat up, frowning. Something about the sound was wrong. Too soft. Too careful. A shadow passed by his tent flap. Before he could move, the flap tore open and two figures stepped inside. They wore dark armor, faces hidden behind tinted visors. One of them spoke, in a low voice. "You're coming with us!" Aaron's hand shot for the survival knife near his bedroll, but the second figure was faster. A stun baton cracked against his side, and pain exploded through him. He gasped, his muscles locking, and they grabbed his arms. They dragged him out into the night. No one in the camp stopped them. Either no one saw, or no one dared. The armored figures led him into the jungle. The path was narrow, branches slapping against his face, mud sucking at his boots. The jungle noises seemed louder here. Insect calls, distant growls, and the constant hiss of rain dripping from the canopy. After what felt like an hour, they reached a small clearing where a low shuttle waited. Its surface was camouflaged with mud and leaves. A tall alien stepped out from the shadows. His armor was black with crimson markings, and his eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "Dr. Vale," the alien said, his voice smooth. "I am Commander. Jask, you have something I need." Aaron kept his voice steady. "If you mean the Venom method, I've already told your people. It's just survival training." Jask smiled thinly. "And yet it works when our science fails. Imagine what my soldiers could do with such knowledge. We would be untouchable." Aaron's stomach sank. "You're not talking about saving lives. You want to use it for war." "War is life," Jask said simply. "And you will teach us, willingly or not." The soldiers pushed Aaron toward the shuttle ramp. He braced his feet, but they were stronger. Before they could force him inside, a sudden voice rang out from the trees. "Let him go!" The soldiers froze. From the shadows, Lyra stepped forward, her silver hair catching the faint light. She held a compact energy pistol, her hands steady. Beside her was Zirath, his 4 arms carrying 2 rifles and a scanning device. Jask's smile faded. "The translator and the scientist, brave, but foolish." Zirath's voice was like a growl. "You will release him, or none of you leave this jungle." Jask tilted his head. "You think you can stop us?" Lyra didn't answer. She fired. The energy bolt struck the ground near Jask's feet, spraying dirt. That was enough. The clearing erupted in chaos. Zirath's rifles spat blue fire, forcing the soldiers to scatter. Aaron twisted in his captor's grip and slammed his elbow into the soldier's ribs. The grip loosened and he broke free, stumbling toward Lyra. One soldier lunged at him, but Lyra caught the movement and fired again, hitting the soldier's shoulder. He fell back with a hiss of pain. Jask barked an order in his own language, and the remaining soldiers pulled back toward the shuttle. They fired covering shots, sizzling past the trees but didn't press the attack. "We will meet." "Again, Dr. Vale," Jask called as he stepped onto the ramp. The shuttle's engines roared, and it lifted off, vanishing into the dark sky. The clearing fell silent except for the rain. Aaron's breath came in ragged gasps. His muscles still ached from the stun hit. "You followed me," he said, turning to Lyra and Zirath. "Of course we did," Lyra said simply. "We saw them take you. Vorak gave no order to stop them. That told us everything." Zerath glanced up at the empty sky. Jask's faction will try again. You cannot stay in the open. Aaron rubbed the back of his neck. So what? I hide. For the rest of the expedition? Not hide, Lyra said. Move first. If they want you, make it hard to find you. And maybe learn why this venom matters so much to them. Aaron frowned. What do you mean? Zerath looked uneasy. Rumor says Jask's forces are trying to weaponize the Viperusk. If they can survive its bite, they could train it as a living weapon. The thought sent a chill through Aaron. That's insane. You can't control something like that. Jask will try, Lyra said, and he will think you are the key. The three of them began the long walk back to camp. The rain had eased, but the jungle still whispered around them. Every sound felt like a warning. When they returned, Vorak was waiting at the edge of the camp, his expression unreadable. He looked at Aaron, then at Lyra and Zerath. You're back, Vorak said simply. Aaron met his gaze. Yeah, and I'm guessing you knew they were coming. Vorak didn't deny it. Your method is valuable. Others will want it. You should be ready. Aaron's jaw tightened. I am ready, but I'm not letting anyone turn this into a weapon. The commander's eyes flickered. Whether in respect or calculation, Aaron couldn't tell. That night, Aaron lay awake again, listening to the rain on the tent roof. He realized something. Saving Lyra had been about one person. Now it was about something bigger, something that could decide who held power in this part of the galaxy, and whether he liked it or not, he was in the middle of it. The sun had started to rise when the group reached the edge of the forest. The light was soft, spreading through the trees and making the leaves glow gold. For a moment, it felt peaceful, but everyone knew the danger was not over yet. Layla's breathing was still uneven and her skin was pale. The venom had slowed, but she was weak. Adil carried her carefully, his arms aching, but he didn't stop. He could feel every heartbeat through her arm. He kept looking at her face, whispering softly, We're almost there, Layla. Just stay with me. Raffi ran ahead to check the path. The road is close, he called back. Once we reach it, we can flag down a car or truck. They all pushed forward, the ground turning from rough forest floor to a narrow dirt path. The sound of birds filled the air, but Adil barely noticed. His focus was only on Layla. Every time her eyes closed, for too long fear gripped his chest. At last, the group reached the main road. It was empty at first, just a long stretch of dusty path between fields. Then, in the distance, a truck appeared, its engine loud in the morning air. Raffi jumped into the middle of the road, waving both arms. The truck slowed and stopped with a screech. The driver, an older man with a weathered face, leaned out. What happened? She's been bitten by a snake, Adil said quickly. We need to get her to the hospital fast. The driver's eyes widened. Get in! Hurry! They carefully lifted Layla into the back of the truck. Adil sat beside her, holding her hand tightly. The driver pressed on the accelerator and the truck roared down the road. Every bump made Adil's heart jump, but he kept whispering to her. You'll be fine. Just a little longer. The truck reached the small-town hospital within minutes. Nurses rushed out with a stretcher, and Adil followed as they took her inside. The bright smell of medicine filled the air. A doctor appeared quickly, asking short, sharp questions. When did the bite happen? Yesterday evening, Adil replied. I sucked out the venom as soon as it happened. We came as fast as we could. The doctor gave him a quick, approving nod. You saved her life. Without that, the venom would have spread too fast. They moved Layla into a treatment room. Adil waited outside, pacing. Raffi and the others stood nearby, their faces still, pale with worry. The sound of footsteps, voices, and medical machines echoed through the hallway. Minutes felt like hours. Adil's mind kept replaying the moment of the bite, the panic, and the fear in Layla's eyes. He had never been so scared in his life. Finally, the doctor came out. His expression was calm. "She's going to be okay. The venom is under control. She'll need rest for a few days, but there's no lasting damage." Relief hit Adil so strongly that his legs almost gave way. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling. They let him see her. Layla was lying on the bed, her face still pale but her eyes open. She smiled weakly when she saw him. "You didn't give up," she whispered. "Never," Adil said, pulling a chair close. "You scared me more than anything ever has. But you're safe now." She reached for his hand. "You saved me, Adil. I'll never forget it. For the rest of the day." Adil stayed by her side. The others brought food and water, but he barely left her for a moment. He felt the weight of everything they had been through, but also a deep gratitude that she was alive. By the next morning, Layla was sitting, up, her color returning. She even laughed softly when Raffi teased her about finding a snake just to get attention. The forest, the fear, and the desperate race to save her were now memories, but they had left something behind, a bond that could never be broken. As they left the hospital together, Layla leaning on Adil's arm, the morning sun was bright and warm. The road ahead felt different now. They had faced danger, fear, and the edge of loss, and they had won. And in the back of Adil's mind, he knew one thing for certain. If he had to do it all over again, he would, without hesitation. The stars blinked softly above the small village, their light reflecting on the quiet homes nestled in the hills. Inside one such home, warmth glowed through the windows, spilling golden light into the night. This was the home Lyra had shared, with her children, and now with Ethan. It had been many months since Ethan's ship had broken and he had come into their lives. The seasons had changed, the rains had come and gone, and slowly a new life had grown in the place of old loss. Lyra sat near the hearth, her eyes watching the dancing flames. Her children played nearby, their laughter light and free, a sound she had almost forgotten. They were no longer shy around Ethan. They had begun to call him their guardian, a word they repeated in their own language, their voices full of affection. Ethan stood by the doorway, looking out at the hills that rolled into darkness. His thoughts wandered far from the village now, yet his heart remained here, in this simple home that had become more than a shelter. It had become family. Lyra's voice broke his thoughts. "You have done more than I ever hoped, Ethan." He turned to her, a quiet smile on his face. "I never planned to stay this long." She stood and walked to his side. "Neither did I expect to find someone who would care so deeply. For me and my children." The firelight softened her features, showing the gentle strength beneath her quiet words. Ethan reached out, taking her hand. It was a small gesture, but it carried the weight of trust and belonging. Outside, the night wind whispered through the trees. The world beyond their valley was vast and uncertain, but here, inside these walls, they had built something lasting. Lyra's oldest child, Varen, came forward, carrying a small carved wooden box. "Father," he said softly, handing it to Ethan. Ethan took the box carefully. Inside was a simple braided cord, a symbol of protection in their culture. Varen smiled shyly. "For you, to keep us safe." Ethan's eyes glistened. "Thank you." He looked at Lyra, then at the children who watched him with wide eyes full of hope. "I promise," Ethan said quietly, "to be here when you wake, when you sleep, and every day in between." Lyra nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "You are their father now." It was not a title given lightly, but one earned through quiet days of care, protection, and love. The fire crackled as they gathered close, a family bound not by blood alone, but by choice and heart. Outside, the stars shone steady, watching over a home where no one was alone anymore.